Hello, all of you risk takers and truth seekers, and welcome to Life the Battlefield, where we explore the front lines of life's biggest challenges and victories. Today we have incredible guest. His name is Eyob Yesus, founder of Icon Corporate Events. And in today's interview, Eyob will share how famine in Ethiopia, 1986 and 1987, shaped his life of his parents, who are his biggest inspiration. Eyob as well share his view why many people avoid discussing their mistakes and why we should embrace our mistakes and learn from them. Let's dive in. Hello, all of you risk takers and truth seekers to podcast Life the Battlefield. Today we're gonna hack the brain, literally hack the brain, how to become successful in a business. But before success comes so many obstacles. When you succeed in a business, comes even bigger obstacles. And today's guest in studio, he will share all this with us. Eyob, welcome to the podcast Life the Battlefield.
Mario, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome, Eyob. So look, we are this production. It's in pipeline. This interview with you and I goes for now almost a year.
I know.
So thank you for coming today.
No, really, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Look, I was like, we're gonna hack your brain. So today I'm seeing very successful man, father of three, somebody who achieved a lot, but life was not always happy playground for yourself. So can you just share with our audience your upbringing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're coming from very, very fascinating country. Many people, maybe they can find it on a map, you know what I mean? But that's, please.
Yeah, no, it's true. So I come from an East African country called Ethiopia. Not a lot of Ethiopians around Australia. Well, not in Sydney anyway, but in Melbourne, there's a few there. You know what? I was very fortunate to have an awesome family growing up, and there was a great sense of camaraderie, a great sense of community in Ethiopia, because when you grow up with, I guess, that poor mentality, sometimes it draws in a lot of great things. However, we weren't exactly poor like the 1980s poor, because everyone in Australia knows Ethiopia because of the 1980s.
Can you just give it a shed of light? So I think generation Z, millennium, whatever they call them, I don't think so they know what's happening. I don't want to say what I know, but please share what was happening in Ethiopia in 1980s. What people they don't know, what was there then?
Yeah, well, in 1980s there was a big poverty, and that swept the country, especially the north of Ethiopia. A lot of poor people. There was no food, there was no water. I mean, stars like Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie, even did "We Are the World" for Ethiopia.
See, that's what the people they don't know. That's what they don't know, because that was actually the I was watching the documentary on Netflix, and say that was how they make that song in one night. Yeah, and I said to myself, but people they don't know what was actually Lionel Richie was referring. It's Ethiopia was a poverty and a hunger and famine.
Yeah, so essentially these video that came out from there was very, very dire, and the world has never seen poor people like that. And one part of it, Ethiopia was scarred for life because of it, because of the fact that, everyone thinks that we're poor people all the way through. But yes, at that time, at that place where that northern part of the country was really affected, and it was very dry. So it's a very dire poverty. And when I came to Australia, everybody only knew that part of Ethiopia, and you can't blame them, because that is the media that portrayed us that way completely. Which is fine. But as you know, Mario, this podcast. One story is not just one story. There's a lot of things that are connected to just to a story.
That's when I like it when you say this with a smile on your face, because I was under 10. I was maybe 7, 8 years old. I was not even 10 years old because this happened. And they say people dying in Ethiopia. We were like, it's like, We don't understand. So we collected money in school, in ex-Yugoslavia. And I said, what is it? I said, there was that image I remember, the mother holding the child, that the flies around the dead child, and the soil was broken, everything else. I said to myself, as a kid, it's like, who these people, I'm complaining communism here, not having sneakers, literally, right? And then come that song, We Are the World and everything else. So I think the world was the first time, united around a common cause. So,
Absolutely. It was a really good wake-up call for the world. That's definitely what I would call it, because nobody saw, especially the Western world, didn't see that kind of poverty. And as you can appreciate, that kind of, media attention was good for the nation to draw that, but also more importantly, opening people's eyes to how, like you said, you were thinking about your shoes.
No, it is. I was selfish. I think we are still today. I think we still don't
100%.
appreciate people around the globe. Like you and I now having this one. I have my coffee. I don't have my coffee because you're late. So I'm just joking. Now I have my coffee since 7 o'clock this morning. Still cold. I'm pretending it's coffee inside. It's good for podcast. But what lessons you learned from that event, in Ethiopia, or your family? Can you just share with the world, being in a position when everything is being caught into some whirlpool of negative events, the drought, famine, everything else, and the world needs to help, Ethiopia. What did you learn as your family? From what valuable lesson you can share with us? We can all learn from that experience.
Well, I can definitely say the one thing is the mentality. Do you know what I mean? Because you don't know what you don't know, and that's the biggest thing around when an event like that happens. Now, it didn't affect our family directly, but it was obviously a mentality that kept carrying on throughout the community, where there's that poor mentality. Do you know what I mean? Everything is ritual. If you mess up something with anything to do with money or food or anything, you don't throw food away. You don't do all those simple things in life that you take for granted. You make sure that you keep it tight. Do you know what I mean? And that part is super, super important, because we in the Western world, we take a lot of things for granted, and Australia, especially being such a lucky country, it really is. I mean, people don't understand how lucky it is, because it's got so many great things going on for it. Instead of uniting on that and building ourselves on that, we complain so much about so many small things, and that's the part I think that I can take away from that. And it's funny, when I moved to this country, I remember a year in, I was complaining because I missed my family, my extended family, so much.
Yes.
And then I realized at that moment, do you know what I mean? Because when I was there, we were complaining about leaving the country. And then when I left the country, I was complaining about, where is my family? But the family part obviously is so important, because you miss them like crazy, especially that first year. Then I vowed to myself, I was like, no way I'm going to complain about this, because I've already been, do you know what I mean? There and then here. So it's interesting how life, the battlefield, like you put it, really is the battlefield.
Because, do you know that you're the first person in this studio, right? You're the first person. Sorry. Not just in studio, I think in my entire life in Australia. So this year going to be exactly 26 years in this country. And it's going to be 26 years back in my old country. So it's half off, right? That you said people in Australia, they don't know how lucky they are.
They don't.
And this is what I can't emphasize enough, people, guys. I want you to take this with a big, deep breath. What Eyob says, and that is that you don't know how lucky you are. And when we're complaining, and I was the one, as we spoke. I have no sneakers, and even communism was an evil society. But we have the life.
Ethiopia went through that.
I want to have sneakers. My father says to me, "We have no money," and then you see the kids in Ethiopia dying. So Eyob, thank you for that part. So when did you move in Australia?
Moved in 1998.
Oh, we're same year coming to Australia.
Is
Come on, man. Okay, tell me.
1998. Yeah, I remember it so clearly.
November or what month?
Oh, mine was September, actually. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Yes, please.
I was singing. It's funny you say November because I was singing that song. I don't know if you know Wyclef Jean, "Gone Till November."
No,
it was a very popular song back home, but we were singing that song with my best friend. We were loving it because it was released that year, and it was just like
songs are still then on tapes, right?
Sorry,
tapes,
yeah,
CDs.
CDs. Yeah, it was definitely CDs.
When I show my son CD, he says like, "Dad, that's big." I said like, "You should see the tapes." He didn't want. He said like, "What do you mean tapes?" I said like, dude, just leave it there in History Channel. So 98, you come to Australia.
Yes, 98 came to Australia.
How old you were when you were there?
I was 18.
18.
Yeah, I finished my high school here.
Yeah.
And then 2 years after that, 2.5 years. So I came to Perth, by the way. So Perth is the,
most isolated place on the planet.
Most isolated place on the planet, literally.
It is.
It was absolutely. Oh my God. Especially for us back then.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so isolated because we came from a dancing family, community, all that type of stuff. So much excitement and so many people around us to like completely quiet Perth, although I do love Perth because it's such a beautiful country. The people are actually, country I called it. Look at that. Because it's that far.
I think they are their own country on their own. It's like
but it's such a beautiful place, first off, because the beaches, when I came to Sydney, actually I was like, oh, Sydney doesn't have good beaches compared to Perth.
That is true. I've been to Perth a few times and I must say they have the better beaches than Sydney.
100%.
Because I never understood Bondi Beach as being like Bondi Beach. So like, it doesn't make a sense. Like it's just average beach, but it's okay. So
again, Mario, you bring Bondi Beach because that's exactly what happened when I moved to Sydney. I went to Bondi Beach first, so excited. And I'm like, why is everyone excited about this beach? Because it's so small. And it's just like, but it's been, again, built by the media hype. And
look, I think that media was like, we talk about media a few things, do bits and pieces, you dropping, me dropping. But thing it is, like when I'm watching, some shows about Australia, people ask me, the Bondi Beach, I say, please don't, because it's not like what they, showing it is. And first of all, like I think that swimming in ocean, it's something different than swimming in Adriatic Sea or Mediterranean Sea or something like this, it's much more calmer than the sharks and all this, something's gonna bite you, sting you. It's like, listen, enjoy your beach, I'm gonna sit in a pool. So what your life brought, because today, as I said at the beginning to audience, you have an interesting surname, Jesus.
Yes, it's Jesus. Yes, it is Jesus, though.
I prefer my way, Jesus. Okay.
It's the same thing. It is the same thing. Yeah. So obviously Ethiopia is a very religious country.
Yes.
So especially from Christianity perspective. So I grew up, I guess, half Orthodox, half Catholic. My dad is Catholic, and my mom is
Orthodox. Yeah.
Orthodox. So it's originally it's Eyob Yesus. So Eyob Yesus means birth of Jesus. Originally, but when we moved to Ethiopia, when we moved to Australia, we just called it, for our visa and passports, we called it Yesus as the last name. So that's what happened.
That's very the name or the surname that depend which way it goes. It's more Latin America, right? I heard Jesus, Jesus, all these things. But when I saw you, I said like Eyob Jesus, I said like, the guy is from Africa, how can be like Jesus, because it's like, that's all this, again, in media, when you watch the movies, all the criminals are Jesus, in Colombia.
In South America.
And then he's a nice guy here across to me. Did somebody pick your bully on your name, or did the kids call you Jesus, or somebody was making fun of you?
Oh, no, I mean, Jesus was just a very big, obviously name to encompass.
It's always going to be a big name.
It's always going to be, but people are just like, oh wow, his name is Jesus, and they don't say anything about it. They kind of keep it to themselves. I can tell. but and then you've got the new kids, the newer generation, who's they know Kanye West as Jesus, that whole
look,
scenario.
I was reading something this morning about him, how actually his career has been washed away. Literally he's been, has this Bianca, his wife, she's all like, I don't know, OnlyFans, walking OnlyFans billboard. But allegedly he's all being put aside. Now, interesting to see how many connections. He coming in Sydney 98, Australia 98, September, November, the Bondi Beach.
Yeah.
I'm glad I have you today.
Oh, thank you.
Now let's go deeper into your battles, life battles.
Yeah.
We're smiling, which is good, right?
Yes.
You know what I mean? I think the world needs more of your smile. Honestly, I'll be honest with you.
Oh, thank you.
The life is very serious.
Yeah.
So when you were in Sydney, you obviously started to do some work, or did you start a business right away? How did this work for you?
So I always came from a business background. Our tribe in Ethiopia is actually known for business. We're known for building a business. One of my uncles started by cleaning shoes for people, and he's built a multi hotelier, do you know what I mean?
Really?
Portfolio, yeah. So he was just an amazing, exemplary person.
Here in Australia?
No, this is in Ethiopia.
See, can I share something with you? Again, let's go back to the media, because I want you to break this stigmata. When we're watching the Hollywood blockbusters, when you see the shoe cleaner, it's always depicted as some poor, miserable guy there.
Yep.
But yet, your uncle?
Yeah, my uncle.
From clean the shoes, he built an empire.
He built an empire.
Man.
Yeah.
I want to meet you. Seriously. Uncle. Okay, so tell me, how this reflected on you? How this, his success actually, you are replicated, or how did you use this?
Yeah, so a lot of people, including my mom, do you know what I mean? Entrepreneurial. My mom had a restaurant in Perth as well, Ethiopian restaurant that was very successful. So it's been there all my life. However, there was, as you know, business is not as easy as you can make it out.
Please share with us, yes.
And the biggest thing here for me, I think, is one, the cultural aspect, do you know what I mean, is the difference between cultures in terms of how we do business versus how we don't. So for example, in Australia, everyone wants to build relationships with you before they even do business with you. Do you know what I mean? Unless it's a product. So for a service-based business, people want to get to know you. People want to get to like you. They want to get to trust you. Do you know what I mean? Before you even do business. Whereas, other places or around the world, if they see some kind of credential around you, they'll hire you straight away and get started. And I think that's partly also to do with the population. Do you know what I mean? We've got a smaller population here, and we can afford to take a bit of time.
So if I can just encapsulate this, you're saying to me, in Australia, they first want to build a relationship with you before they give you jobs.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. Today, I can say from my point of view, having two other successful businesses, I was always wondering why nobody want to give me a job. I have credentials and anything else. And I was thinking myself, maybe because of my English, my background, but you're absolutely right. Guys, I want you to take a note. This is the golden nugget what Eyob shared with us. In Australia, relationship, it first needs to be built. But then you have the second part, let's say in US or whatever it is. If you have credentials, people like you, they're going to hire you. So the trust, but both ways is a trust.
Yeah, Absolutely. Absolutely. And so that was one of the challenges, I would say, in terms of the cultural differences, me being excited and wanting to just show my credentials to do the job. So that was one.
Yeah.
But it was exciting. It was still a challenge, but it was. And then the second part is, the creativity aspect.
Yes.
I didn't realize how creative I was until, do you know what I mean?
To create.
Yeah. So I, for example, I created this amazing cheese festival a couple of years ago in Sydney, right here. And that was just a full creation that came out of this crazy head of mine. Do you know what I mean? So
I think that's what actually makes world spin around.
It is, but it is challenging because as a creative, you don't think business. You think, how do I make people happy first? Do you know what I mean? Oh, but business has HR, marketing,
sales
staff,
departments,
admin. Do you know what I mean?
Just this and that.
So many things about business that's quite challenging that you really need to consider before jumping into business. I mean, the failure rate in Australia is very, very clear. Do you know what I mean? It tells you that, one in, I think it's, completely lost the stat, but essentially almost 60% of businesses close in the first 5 years.
I will concur this one.
Yeah.
I think it's even higher right now.
It's even higher. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
In the first couple of years, yes. First 5 years, yes.
Yeah. So what does that tell you, Mario? So that tells you that we walk into a beautiful cafe, we look at the beautiful cake, we drink that beautiful coffee, and we say, I want to open up a business. Literally, that's how a lot of people.
Please bring this more. I want you to educate people. Say we smiling. I say like you and I. In all honesty, I'm so grateful that you sharing this with audience. And I like to say to all 3 million people, all viewers, 3 million on YouTube, big thank you for supporting this podcast. Building business is difficult. And that's most people don't see it. You're right. Absolutely right. Yeah. I was now in Europe and I was in Paris 2 months before Olympic Games. Anyway, I need to have a chocolate croissant. I said, I want to have a chocolate croissant. Whatever they say, panou de chocolat, whatever. I was like, whatever. Don't just give me
chocolat
that.
De pain.
And I wanted to engage in conversation in France, particularly in Paris with the business owners. But I was being distanced straight away. They don't speak English. I'm sorry, so try to use my charm. I'm from Croatia, Europe, I'm not from England. Still they don't want to speak on English, right? So, but when I was talking to people around, Paris, because I have some friends there, they told me, people come from Australia thinking they're going to have the wine factory, they're going to have a cheese factory. It takes generations to build this. So, you're right.
Yeah. It takes generations. France is probably a really good example of this in terms of the history that they have. And it's not, I could imagine, I've never inquired, it would be super hard to cut into the cheese business there. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't be that easy.
But that's what you're saying. Like, if people think that running business is just like, I saw the shop with chocolate croissants and cheese. I'm gonna have this one.
Yeah. And I'm guilty of this, Mario, because I thought, if I built the event itself, or if I went and serviced the client itself, that will be fine for business. Do you know what I mean? However, I had to learn some hard lessons from that. One was my business, got crumbled down during the cheese festival, where I overextended myself, where I budgeted incorrectly. Do you know what I mean? So all those things that hit you hard in business. And fail. So everyone talks about failure as if it is something that we can't talk about. But let's be honest, we fail so many times in this lifetime, one way or the other. But the key is what can we learn from it, and what can we do moving forward? That's the biggest thing, and that learning aspect not only takes just the business side of things, but it actually takes a reflection on yourself first. Really understanding. who you are, where you want to be. And that part, wow, is something that a lot of people, I mean, I don't blame them because it's so hard sometimes to confront yourself in that way, but it's a must do.
May I just say something to you?
Yeah.
Takes a lot of balls and courage to say these things. You know, because everybody knows how to speak and say what to do. And I always challenging people say to tell me how to do things. And they don't know because everybody try to be the business coach, life coach. You need to do better. You do that way. Show me your example. Tell me. People are, you say something about failure. We fail so many times, you say. Yet people are afraid to say that they fail in life. Like as if it's like a biggest stigma in the world. No, it is not. I think that failure, it's a normal. Like as I always say, I was in military for 14 years and, you know, I failed so many times. Miserable. I always say like, you know, my son, I say, Daddy was doing this and this and this, but I couldn't climb the rope, you know, I mean, literally. And every time when there's a rope, need to climb the rope, I say, oh, my shoulder. And they was like, what is wrong with you? I said, I couldn't, you know what I mean? I needed 5 people to help
you up.
So the people helped me.
There you go.
But it takes a lot of courage to share this, what you're sharing today. But that makes you a perfect partner in a business for many people. Because that's how they build the trust with the people. To saying, this is what I did, this is how I did. And I failed, by the way. But we're going to have our chocolate pan de
Pan de chocolat.
Look, I was standing in front of the, like, you know, the shopping window like this, like, and I was just by looking that beautiful French pastry, I gained half a kilo just by looking at it. So, okay, so your business crumbled.
Yes.
My question is, why Eyob Jesus didn't give up on business? Why didn't you give up on yourself? Share this with us so people can learn from you, from your experience.
Yeah. I think that process of... So, first off, I will say that in my heart, I didn't feel like quitting. That is definitely one thing that I will say clearly because there was something there that just said, keep going. Second part is my CFO at the time, who was helping me with the Cheese Lovers Festival, he sent me to this amazing seminar. It was like a life seminar that I went to. And that seminar just essentially helped me light up my journey of looking within than without. Does that make sense? So I say within because I didn't realize that my whole life, you know, I had so many different influences in my life, which was one, my family. Now, this is what everyone goes through. Do you know what I mean? Everyone goes through this process. We have family influence. We have friend influence. We have workplace influence. Sometimes there is no room to think about ourselves in the sense of, okay, who am I? You know, where do I want to be? And that part was huge because it's taken me a couple of years to sort of really get my head around it. But I will say that I'm in a much better and much stronger place than I've ever been from that perspective.
And I never heard, ever, in all honesty, that anybody brought to my attention that his biggest influence, number one, is his family. If you go to psychologists, they're going to start with this. So tell me more about your mom, about your dad. And now I just click when you said to me, because I have a good friend of mine, she's a forensic psychologist. And she always says to me, everything we bring from childhood, from the parents. And I always said to her, Deb, you know, just leave me alone. You know what I mean? You and your mom and dad thing, you know what I mean? Like, but truth it is, we have the biggest influences in our life. That's our family. And you have the really role models. Your mom, she run the business, the restaurant. Your, again, uncle, I think, you know what I mean? From the shoe cleaning to to building the business empire. Now, you didn't give up. So let's just say somebody comes to you right now and say like, hey, I'd like to talk to you about my business. I want to give up. and you have opportunity to convince that person not to give up on a business, on a life, what would you say?
So there's two things, one, the pragmatic side, which is the business side, really getting real about your numbers and understanding that. That's one. The second part is, do I really want to do this? Is this me? Do I see myself 10 years down the track building something great, not for the fact that you're going to hit your goals, but for something that is a lifetime achievement where you can be proud of?
That's interesting. Yeah.
That's the next thing that you would want to ask yourself. Because for me, for events, for event management, for my industry, you really have to love what you're doing, to be honest, because it is one of the most stressful industries in the world. I don't know if you know this, but it's top 5.
No, I didn't. You know, the other day I have the good buddy of mine, and he's into men's health, right? Men's mental health. He's a coach in mental health and everything else. He's a tradie, but that deals with tradies. And he comes out the day with a coffee. Said, "I want to see you." So like, "What's up, Aaron?" He said, "Do you know the number 1 profession in Australia commits suicide?" I said, like, "I don't know." He's in tradies. I said, like, "Maybe tradies." He says to me, "No, the dentist." I was like, "Dentist?" You think yourself, because I didn't know that dentistry, it is one of the stressful jobs. Plus, when they open your mouth, they see all your problems and everything else. But they didn't know events. So from cheese to events, right? Is that your journey was, or?
Well, no. So for events. So the Cheese Lovers Festival was an event.
Yeah,
so I put that together. So I turned cheese into an engaging event. You
love cheese.
So, yeah, I love cheese.
How's your cholesterol?
Not that bad, actually. So considering
he's healthy, guys. It's okay. It's all under control. Yeah, sorry, I'm not.
But no, I was going to say that if I ever go to France, I haven't been yet. The first thing I'm going to do is a cheese tour. Nothing else.
Look,
nothing
I'm
more.
telling you, you more regret. I went into Normandy. And there's a. It was 80 years this year. It's 80 years of the D-Day landing there, so I want to do a documentary.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was such a terrible weather. We need to go back. But we stop all the shops,
Don't blame you.
Come go through, was like, oh my God, cheese. So jokes aside, so you done event with the cheese, and you say there's 2 aspects of the business. One is a reality, as you say, don't give up the numbers.
That's right.
The second one is?
And the second one is knowing that this is for you and wanting to move forward. Because, like I said, and you don't blame people for being this. They look at a cafe that serves beautiful cakes, that has a coffee, and they say, "Oh, I'd love to own a cafe one day." Do you know what I mean? That's really how businesses start, because without a clear sort of representation of what that is, of what you're actually getting into. Do you know what I mean? Yes. So that's how a lot of people start. And so really get clear on what you want, in life and in business, and then really get clear on that. Again, I'm the same person who was the cafe owner that wanted to be, do you know what I mean? That business owner. But really, there's so many things within business that can, do you know what I mean, really take you away from it. Now I've learned, and the reason why I'm on your podcast, just to let you know, is because I've learned that I need to move away from the things that I'm not strong at. I need to move into the things that I'm more strong at, which is communicating people, being around people, telling my message this way, do you know what I mean, in a much more reflective and empowering way for both sides.
I truly believe that one thing you have, what most of people don't have, you're in a type of business which there's no certainty, right? You know what I mean? Like, for example, as I mentioned, last Friday I went for that big event in Darling Harbour.
Yes.
Darling Harbour it's changed. It's abandoned. There's not many people in Sydney. There's a boat show, but there was 7,000 people in ICC, International Convention Centre, right?
Yeah.
And the one thing I realized, there was no certainty, because we can all start the show, but something could happen and the entire show could be cancelled. Right? You know what I mean? Some unforeseen events, you know what I mean? Earthquake, you know what I mean? Fire, whatever it is, you know what I mean? God forbid, you know what I mean? Anybody injured. But I think it is, this is not type of industry which is certainty. You and I can agree on a podcast, you know what I mean? And that's it, happens, right?
Yeah.
The only reason it doesn't happen, it's one of us can attend. But events are difficult because you need to please so many.
Absolutely.
Okay, so one thing I wanted to say that events industry suffered a lot for 2.5 years of the lockdowns. And I want to talk about this resilience of yours. As you know, one day, you know what I mean, we wake up and they say like, you know, your life is on hold, you know what I mean, just behind the screen. How this influenced your business and how did you manage it to survive, literally survive?
Yeah. So I will talk about COVID as well within this, but I'll also talk about the impact of that 2.5 years. And the reason why I'm able to do that is because I actually started my events industry journey in music. So I was my first 10 years. My first 10 years was actually doing concerts, tours, festivals.
So everybody who wants the free tickets for Taylor Swift, contact you.
I wish I used to have those contacts, but
I put
not
you
anymore.
No, just jokes aside.
Now I do corporate events, everyone. So just to give you a heads up, but I still do my own creative stuff. But I will talk about that. You know, a big part of it was actually Sydney's culture in terms of, you know, when you go out at night. I'll just explain it very simply. When you go to New York or let's say Dublin, you can go into a pub. You can easily start a conversation with someone, a stranger, without any preconceived notions of who you are, where you are, and all that type of stuff. Do you know what I mean? In Sydney, yes, there you go, Mario. You see, I wanted you to shake your head yourself so that you can.
I'm sure it's different.
Yes. So Sydney in particular, I will say this because Melbourne is even a bit more friendlier. Perth is super friendly, but in Sydney, it's silos and communities and all that. But that is the reason why it led up towards the 2.5 year shutdown of the clubs, because so many people, that kid was punched, do you know what I mean? And he died just because of one punch. And that's what happened, literally because of that. And that shows you the attitude and the culture that was cultivated around Sydney during that time. Not funny enough, sorry. I apologize for saying that.
No, I understand what you're trying to say, like something
in
else.
Hindsight, I left the industry 2.5 years before that happened. It's incredible how I left at that time because I was like, wow, do you know what I mean? So I left for the same reason. I was like, something is not working in this industry for me. I'm missing something in this music industry that's driven by a lot of egos. Do you know what I mean? A lot of, what do you call it? And it's such an amazing industry because I love, as an African, do you know what I mean? Music is like in our blood, literally.
You said this, you know, they're like guys love to dance and anything else.
My whole family dances, do you know what I mean? We bring such a great vibe. If you, and I'll show you some videos after this, actually, Mario, just so that you understand the scale of dancing and music around us. But you know, so for me, I guess at the time I was definitely a naive guy who just loved music, who loved people, and was able to reach a lot of places just because of those two reasons. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But the other side of it, there's so many things in that industry that you just want to, say goodbye to. Do you know what I mean? Yes. But no regrets. Do you know what I mean? It's an amazing industry. But look what happened, though. You know, that 2.5 years really killed that whole.
It literally killed.
It literally killed. Yeah.
Some industries could survive. Some industries cannot survive. Some of them they managed to pull. You know what I mean? To be on the surface. Yeah. But event industry was down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I saw that Tony Robbins doing online, I said like, come on, man, that. Yeah. You know, that doesn't make a sense whatsoever. So.
Yeah. Well, there was that 2.5 year lockdown. Mm-hmm. Then COVID obviously came into play as well. Now, COVID was very rough on the whole industry because it literally took it to zero. We were on the mercy of virtual events, which helped us a little bit during that time. But honestly, everyone survived. Whoever survived, they survived with government funding. Do you know what I mean?
Correct. Yes, I do agree with you. Yes,
and we, they had to consolidate all their business straight away. Unfortunately, the bigger businesses in
I'm
events.
glad you survived. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. But I know that recently I was in Byron Bay, for the business. I was in Surface Paddlers, but I drove in Byron Bay, and there was a cancellations, happening one after another. And I was thinking about you. I said to myself, I know you're coming for the podcast interview. And I said to myself, if this is happening on that scale,
exactly,
what's going to survive? And I will say again, what I saw in my life, survival is not just about this fittest. This is because people talk about Charles Darwin, so the fittest. But Charles Darwin says in his book on the second page, it says something different about the fittest. But you survive because you know how to cater for the survival, how to say. Some things need to be, what I learned in military, to survive, you need to adjust, improvise, you know what I mean? And
that's exactly it.
Well, you know what I mean? And people don't do this, you know what I mean? They go, but there's some type of, the straight line, you know what I mean? If it doesn't work, I need to shut down.
Yeah.
And if money doesn't come from government, that's bad.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you survived.
I'm very fortunate and still saying to keep going in this industry is another big thing, So I'm still going. The Blues Fest is what you, is it, sorry, not Blues Fest.
No, it's not Blue Fest, it's something
the, Splendor in the
grass.
Grass.
That's correct. Yeah. Splendor in the Grass. That's correct.
So
because it was cancelled in Sydney as well. Same thing. Yeah. So it's the same thing was being cancelled both ways.
Yeah, both ways. Because what's happened right now is the production costs for events has skyrocketed like crazy, and it's not sustainable at all.
Yeah.
So again, event managers are actually being pushed more to do more with a lot less budget and high production costs. So I think in the future, we're going to have to find a way of partnering with these stakeholders to host these events in Sydney anyway, because it's if someone like Splendor is not wanting to, go ahead with their festival, that kind of tells you a lot. And that's just Splendor only. There's so many other festivals that have been cancelled because of this reason.
I believe that you say something now, and what people don't grasp in reality, and when I do the risk management reviews for my clients, particularly around unforeseeable events, I always say, like, some things need to be treated as a triage. What is dying is dying. You know what I mean? Who can help you help. Rest, it's moving ahead. What people don't understand, that every business has a challenges and be in different foundations in different times with different people. You are the example of that. That resilience is not something can be taught in a school, but you need to create on your own. And you've done this. So guys, if you ever wonder how the Eyob can help you, building or understand resilience in your business, give him a call. I'm going to put in the comment section below all the details so you can reach him and talk to him how he did it, because you are that one. And I always say I'm admiring people who can demonstrate me how they did it.
Yeah. Because
everybody knows how to write things. Recently, I was on one event, not recently, a few months ago, was one big name from US. And don't go into school. I said, why don't go into school? And I know, because I was a terrible student. Right?
Yeah.
I disregarded school. So I achieved my academics now in 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Thanks to the good friend of mine and Professor Klaus Morman, who invested himself into me, said, you need to go in school, you have the qualifications, but
awesome.
Dude, nobody cares for you need to have it here.
Yeah.
So this gentleman says, you don't go in school, but buy my book. I said, excuse me.
Yeah.
That's a contradictory. Don't go in school, because school is a waste of time, but buy my book. If you don't go in school, you can't read. And what he replied, who the fuck you think you are? So I said, listen, man, just don't go there, because same as you do, you can say, Mate, you think I'm your buddy? I come from Ethiopia. I live in a famine, you know what I mean, and hardships, and you try to impress me with your blah, blah.
Yeah.
So tell me more now about your business. What is your business now about?
Yeah, so it's essentially an event management company. So what we do is we work with two groups. One is corporate event management. So corporate clients come to us and we organize everything from product launches, conferences, AGMs, meetings, Christmas functions. And then the other, so lots of fun there.
Okay.
And then corporate is becoming a lot more fun.
I just want to
these
throw on a
days.
50%. If you quote my name with a U, I just try to be smart.
You're working on the commission.
Yeah,
I love it.
I
love it. And then the other side is we still organize our own events, you know. So next year, we're launching a new food festival, which we're very, very excited about. So in 2025, September. So that's going to come out soon.
September.
Yeah. So
my birthday. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. So that we're working on that right now, and that's on its way. So I've got a lot of great meetings lined up for that. But the point is, I love events. You know, I've been in events for a very long time. You know, my mom started out in events, and she had two big boys that she pushed around to help her with her events. So that was a part. And then, you know, like I said, I started in music. Music was a big part of my life for about 10 years. Then took a break. Then started corporate events now, you know, and in corporate events, I didn't really know where I wanted to be, but, you know, because it was a new industry. However, the basics of organizing an event was still there. Yes. I want to mention what you said earlier about risk management, you know, because a big part of events, everybody thinks it's the event itself, but the big part of events is the risk management side of things.
Look, I was admiring you. Like I was admiring you. I don't go many events because I remember before the COVID, Sydney was very, very rich with many events, even during the winter. Right?
Absolutely.
Now everything's dead. Like literally, I cannot explain. I don't want to explain. I don't care. Yeah. But I try to say, does Sydney needs more events? Absolutely, but new events.
Yeah.
I think we need to live past to past, you know what I mean, day to day. I would try to say some things cannot be recovered anymore, some festivals, some events, but there's a space for the new ones. And the world deserve Eyob Yesus to do this. And I truly believe that one. Now, before we wind up, I want to ask you a question not related to the business, nothing else. How you keep yourself healthy and sane? Is there any sport? You bashing people, rob the bank or something?
I wish that was a sport. Everybody would be playing it.
So I was reading the other day that health is one of the most, if not most valuable commodity in life.
It is.
Yet people disregarding that one.
Yes.
What are you doing to stay healthy and fit?
Yeah, so I love basketball every Monday. Today, I'm going to play, basketball at nighttime. So I do it at the Hills Hornets.
Okay. So is that like a movie, like a white man can jump? Like, is that one?
No, not like that.
Basketball,
I love basketball. Yeah, so I used to play. I played it for a very long time. Actually, the reason why I used to be, I used to be.
You try to correct yourself?
Exactly. Well, a bit of pounders, so I need to lose that part, but it's okay.
Look, I think that's a normal with the age.
It is.
I try to comfort myself.
I know, but we're going to have to rebuild that. So, but basketball is for cardio. Is the best, one of the best sports you'll ever play.
Look, it's demanding sport. You know what I mean? I never played basketball. I grew up in Croatia. Basketball was sort of like,
basketball is huge in Croatia. You know that.
Yeah, it was when I was, sort of.
I know soccer is bigger, but yeah.
And my father was always devastated. You were so fat, you can never gonna be the player. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? Like, But the thing is, if people want to be healthy and fit, would you say to people, go for exercising any type? Or is there anything particular you want to share?
Well, the one thing that I definitely improved a lot is I've created a habit around exercising.
Yes.
So I do it now consistently every day. I've got a small mini gym at home.
Nice.
I don't sleep without doing it. So it's simple because small, tiny steps. This is the part that a lot of people rush into. There's a book called Atomic Habits. I don't know if you've ever read that book.
I heard. Yes. I never read, no.
Okay. It's a must read. Everyone has to read that book because it's just that good. Everyone talks about the hype of things. This book is like a must read book. You just got to read that book, create good habits around that, around your life, and then you will get there. There is no doubt. So that's the one big thing that I've changed, and that's been a game changer for me. The next thing that I need to get rid of, and the toughest one of all, is food. We all love food. We love, especially if you love good food and you're a foodie like me, that's a big one,
I said to my son the other day, he studied medicine, and I said to him, when my grandmother, when I would visit my grandmother, she says to me, eat. And I said, no, I'm not hungry. Then second statement would be, are you sick? Are you okay? You know what I mean? I said, no, I'm eating. No. If you don't eat, because if you don't eat was usually connected with like, you must be sick, something's wrong with you. So if people want to find you and want to use your services as an event manager and you organize events for them, where they can find you?
So it's iconcorpevents.com, so CORP events.com. So you please send us an email, have a chat to us. Even if you just want to have a chat to us, we're actually doing a small brainstorming session for anyone that wants to come in and create new event IDs for their event, because like I said, I'm a creative first and I want to share my IDs and expand what you have there. And if that's something that you want to do, we could do that complimentary for 2 hours, and you will be you'll leave our session with lots of IDs, which is great.
Ladies and gentlemen, my guest in studio, Eyob Yesus from Ethiopia, from hardships of the African soil to the arriving to most isolated place in the earth, Perth, Australia, country itself. But today was many golden nuggets here. And the one of the most important things what I heard from the Eyob was now at the end almost, it's you need to create your own habits. Habits leads to success. Perfection doesn't exist, but repetition will create consistency and habits. And that's what I build person you are. Thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.